All right, guys. So listen, I'm super, super excited. So I've got a really good friend of mine. Many of you guys know him as a legend of our industry.
I don't know about that.
Probably a legend. So guys, fortunately, Paul Alley flew in to come hang out here in Tampa. For those guys who don't know Paul has got an awesome company. He's been in the business for years. Up in upstate New York, he runs Pestmasters, the #1 franchise in the country, right?
Yep.
So it's kicking off this, like, this is with the set of our sessions that we do here, we want to make it super fun. So, but before we get kicked off, for those of you guys who don't know Paul, maybe tell everyone a little bit about yourself, like how you got into the pest control and how you got here before I start giving you the hard questions.
The hard questions, oh, lovely. I've been in the industry about 37 years and started as a technician in Miami.
Yeah.
Going to college, had to make money. And progressed into doing pest control in North Carolina, and then from there back to Texas, and then Texas to New York.
Yeah, and then you started the franchise. What year was it?
2000, in the year 2000, started the Pestmaster franchise.
So you went from the year 2000 till today, and you're #1, man. You're #1. You don't even care about being #1, do you?
No, not at all.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. The more I've gotten to know Paul, the more I realize is I'm more excited about Paul being #1 than Paul's excited about being #1.
Because '2 is so far away.
Yeah.
That it doesn't fucking matter.
Little
Sorry,
bit of ego.
guys.
The one thing I found, Paul and I've known each other for years, but one of the things I've always found really interesting about Paul is, even though he's part of a franchise group, he goes out and he comes up with really innovative things, and his company sells in a different way. Honestly, sells in a way that I've really never seen. They have some services they do. They do some amazing things. And I remember when we first started working together, and I bet you remember too, we started working together, and I was like, hey, Paul, let's look at your sales process. We might need to make some changes to speed things up. And then I started looking at the numbers, and I was like, I'm not going to change anything about this. We're just going to leave it alone. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
And it was really great. But Paul, why don't you? Because it's kind of your secret sauce. It works in your market. But why don't you walk someone through how you guys actually sell? It's pretty unique.
We're honest.
Oh wait, you are?
Yeah. 100%. Quickest way to the exit door in my company is if you lie to a customer and sell them something they don't need.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up. I mean, I've got customers that I've gone to and said, you don't need my services.
Yep.
And at some point you will, just keep me in mind. And they do. At the end of the day, that's, I want to be able to go to bed at night and sleep and not have to worry about, did I screw this customer over, or I got over on that one. When I go to a customer's house, this happened 2 years ago, I go to a little old lady's house, and there are snap traps every 5 feet throughout her entire house by a competitor. I can't say their name. I probably shouldn't do that.
No, probably not.
So I go up in the attic, and I go up in the attic, I look around, they got brand new insulation throughout the whole thing. And I go downstairs, I'm talking to the lady, and there's an old train set sitting there just in boxes. And there's old fishing gear. And I'm talking to her, and I'm like, so why are we here? Because you already have, she goes, well, they're not catching my mice. Like, it's because you don't have any mice. But in the meantime, this company had sold her, I shouldn't even say company, this salesperson had sold her $22,000 worth of installation.
Wow. And
weekly rodent services for a house. And I'm talking to her, I'm like, oh, I see you got the HO size scale, train set downstairs. She goes, yeah, that was my husband's. He recently passed. So they hit a widow up for this sale within 2 months of her husband passing.
Ugh.
So she's shelling out all this money.
Yeah.
And it's just, that kind of shit pisses me off. Straight up.
Yeah, I remember when I was up in Kingston, and we got in the car, and I was like, let's go on a sales call. Do you remember? Mm-hmm. And I remember going to those people's houses from California, and you're going through the inspection, and I'm walking around this house, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, man, we could sell them everything. We could sell them everything. This is great. And I remember us going through the basement of that house, and that guy goes, what are all these holes? What are all these holes? And you're like, those are powder post beetle holes. but you don't have an infestation. And I can tell you this, that level of integrity is incredible. And I remember the level of trust that those guys immediately had for Pestmasters and for the way that you handled it. But the big question is, did you ever actually get that sale?
I have no idea.
Man, I walked out of there, I got back in the truck, and I think I said,
I think we did. I'm pretty sure we did. Because I think I've driven by there and I saw our bait boxes on the outside.
I remember getting back in the truck and I was like, why did we close it? What's going on? And you're like, they'll buy from us. They'll buy from us. And I bet they did, you know?
Most of the time they do.
Yeah, I think it's
Our closure rate's over 70%.
I know, it's awesome.
So, and the difference is you can sell it over the phone for $250, or I'm going to go out to your house and I say $250 like the initial service.
Yep.
And I'll go out to your house and I'll do the inspection, and I may be $450 to anywhere to $800 on the initial service. And, you know, it's a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. You can sell it over the phone for $250 and move on. You've developed no relationship with the client whatsoever. Okay. You know, we pull up, oh, let me grab your garbage cans and pull them in for you. Let me pick up that newspaper and take it to you. You know, key account, pick up the Amazon packages and bring them inside the house. And let the customer know you did that. Well, they're not going to remember, but when you call them to give, and these are on estimates.
Yeah.
These are just stuff that we do on estimates. And, you know, call them up and say, hey, this is what I found. This is what you need to be doing. By the way, your pool guy's here now draining the pool cover because we've had 6 inches of rain last week, and I brought in your Amazon packages because they were getting wet. Oh, thank you so much. And they remember that. At the end of the day, they remember that. And that's how we've grown our business from 1 person to 38.
Yeah, and it's interesting. And for those of you guys who know, like you guys our companies build sales models all over the country, and there's a variety of different ones on the phone, in person. And out of all the markets across the entire country, when I started to understand the way that Paul does business, which potentially doesn't work in every market, there's some nuances to your market.
No, it definitely would not work in a larger southern market. It won't work in Miami.
Yeah,
because of the low price baseboard sprayers.
Yeah, and so when I started looking at the models, I was like, man, I go, could this, and this is by no means a negative, but could this old school approach of sales and customer service, could it still work today? And when I saw you guys execute it, honestly, I was blown away. And you've heard me say it before. So well, I mean, so it's pretty unique, man. So kind of shifting for a second. So let's think about you going back to year 5, right? So you guys have your franchise. You and Amy are working hard, and you guys are working hard, and you guys maybe a tech year 5.
5 years. I think we had 4 tech. We had 2 at West Point Military Academy.
Oh, you had West Point already then?
We had West Point on our 1-year anniversary.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
On our 1-year anniversary, we got the award letter.
Oh.
And with we had a 1 week to start date.
So for the guys who don't know, they've had West Point, the military academy, for how long?
23 years now.
So 23 years have been servicing West Point.
I'm sorry, 22 years. We've been in business 23 years.
And which is pretty amazing. And so, but if you went back to that, so outside of West Point, which I can't imagine how excited you guys were when you guys got that. Crazy, right?
But it's like, hey, you have to be at West Point starting on April 1st of 2001. And, of course, then, 6 months or whatever, it's April. So 5 months later, 9/11 happened. And we were at West Point when 9/11 happened. I mean, it was a beautiful, clear day, in the 70s, no humidity. And we're out there doing service. And then all of a sudden, they're locking gates and they're pulling equipment into the front of the buildings and, to block, whatever's going to happen. So. But yeah, so 1 year into it, I had 7 days to get trucks, get equipment, and hire and train staff.
Really? Mm-hmm. So you had to figure out how to get trucks? Hopefully you had good credit then, back in the beginning.
I had to use my dad's.
Yeah, right. To be honest, right?
Yeah,
so if you went back, if you went back and you're looking at today's environment, and you knew I was going to hit you with this question. So what do you tell someone who's starting their company up, or someone who's a couple years down the road and they're trying to figure it out? What's that 1 or 2 little pieces of knowledge that you could give them right now?
Honesty and integrity is the big thing. The other one is just, don't go outside your expertise.
Great advice.
If you're not a termite guy, now's not the time to take on a 20,000 square foot termite job if you don't have the equipment or the experience and stuff like that. On the other side, we were taking just about any work we could get, and the biggest piece of advice that I tell this to all the franchises, I said, there's a difference between making money and making profit.
100%.
Know what that difference is. We went off because we do a lot of government contracts. At the time, we were new at it. One of the contracts that we picked up was roadkill.
Like picking up dead animals.
Dead animals.
Yeah.
Yep. So we picked that up in probably right about that time, probably about 2005, 2006. Yeah, we still have it.
I remember you telling me when I was up there about the roadkill contract, and I was laughing. I go, in most markets, there's no profit. I don't know how you make money in this. And I remember you telling me you guys just get these calls and you're picking up animals all over the place.
Yeah, it's the county.
It's crazy.
The county unions, they don't want to pick up, the roadkill that's, it's stinky, bloated.
It's gross.
It's absolutely sickening.
Yeah.
But you know what? It pays.
Yeah, I remember talking.
And the best part is, so what is the biggest hurdle to a small business? And we'll say pest control, because that's what we're here about. What is the biggest hurdle that you think they fight every day on a day-to-day basis in any market?
Man, if I had to think about it in any market, man, I'm not sure. Competition, fair enough. Yeah.
Okay. How much competition is there to pick up a dead animal?
What a great point.
There isn't.
Yeah.
Right? So we always tell our franchises, and I tell anybody who will listen to me about it,
and there's not very many people who listen to you, by the way.
Nope. Not at all. Nope. I am the king of my castle till my wife gets home. If you're a pest control person, you're licensed in GP and structural pest control or termite. Great. So is that guy and that guy and that guy and that guy and that guy. But we're licensed, my company, my staff, myself included. So I'm licensed in general pest, termite, public health, vegetation management, right of way. I say public health, termite. We're bedbug free certified. I'm a certified canine handler for our bedbug dog, and I'm an ACE.
Yep.
So the differentiators
are
just that. They're differentiators. So I can go in and say, as one of my mentors, Dr. Stuart Mitchell, says, if you have a technical question and I know the answer and you don't, guess who's going to get the job?
Yep.
Me.
It's interesting to hear you say it like from the technical standpoint, because I remember when I got into the industry, is that one of the things
like 2012?
8. I sold by I was out by 2012.
He's still a greenhorn.
He refers to me as a greenhorn. But one of the things that I realized in why we were able to scale our company up was that I realized that exactly what you're saying is you needed one little tiny differentiation that separated you from your competition. And I didn't think about competition being my challenge, right? And how are we not looked at as a commodity? So when someone looked at us and said, hey, we need pest control service, or we're out there trying to pitch and sell pest control service, how do we not be looked at like a pest control company? How do we be looked at as something different? Or as we can call a partner, whatever. And what we fell on was for LEED certified buildings, because that was brand new. United States Green Building Council. Now today that's a big, it's a big established market, but Green Pro is brand new then. We were the first company in Florida to go through Green Pro. Well, what did we do? We positioned Green Pro. We positioned it incredibly well. Right. And now it's become really watered down. But at the time, we were number one. And honestly, we did the same thing, but we didn't realize it. Now, you guys have taken it to a very, very sophisticated level over the years. And but it was the same thing. And I find it really, really interesting, like looking back, And it's but I think it's pretty neat. So all right. So here's your chance. Here's your chance. So you get to make a decision now. Either A, I'm going to ask you a couple of random questions, or B, you get to ask me a couple of random questions. So what do you think he's going to do?
You had time to think about the random questions. I don't have the time to think about it.
Hey, hang on. Ready? We'll give him a second. Tick tock. Okay, go.
No, you go. I'll tell you what. You start.
Me start. Okay. All right. So if you had to pick a New York sports team, who's your team? This is your chance to tell everyone you don't like sports. Go for it.
I'm not a sports guy.
Okay.
Well, I'm a sports guy, but I'm not. I'm a NASCAR guy.
A NASCAR guy.
Yeah.
Guys,
So, I grew up in the South. I'm not from New York.
hang on a second. For those of you guys who don't know, who are watching this, Paul lives in northern New York, which is actually southern Alabama, right?
Yes. Exactly. I grew up in Florida.
Who's your favorite NASCAR driver?
That's even hard to say right now because my guy died, so it was Dale Earnhardt. So he passed.
He was my favorite too back in the day.
Ever since that, it's kind of it's very watered down at this point. I'll say Joey Logano only because
driver.
It's my daughter's favorite driver, and only because of that.
I kind of feel like every time I've seen Jocelyn, I kind of feel she brings up Joey Logano. I feel like she might be in love with Joey Logano.
Oh, 100%. She says, "There's my husband" on the television.
I kind of feel like I remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. But he got her autograph. We went to Talladega and stuff like that. So it's all good.
All right, so you ready for your next one?
Sure.
All right, so you wake up tomorrow and you are no longer in the pest control business. You actually have no pest control experience. You never did pest control. What would be your dream job?
If I was young again and young enough to go through the academy again,
Yep.
and I say again,
Yep.
fire department.
That's right. So for those of you guys who don't know, Paul's been a fireman for
20 plus years.
So would you go full-time firefighter?
If I could. But unfortunately, my wife has these habits of Amazon, so it wouldn't pay really well. So I'm kind of having to do, supplement the Amazon account by doing pest control.
So would you sleep at the firehouse or would you sleep at home and run to the fire department?
That's what I do now. So I sleep at home and run to the fire department when the pager trips.
So, but if you're a full-time fireman, you stay at the
there at the firehouse. It's like 24 on, 48 off, or 72, or 24 on, 72 off.
See, that's what you would prefer.
If I wasn't doing this, yeah.
All right. So
I like helping people. What can I say?
dude, it's so funny. The look you're giving me is like, what's the next question? All right, man. So I'll give you a chance. I'll give you a chance. Go ahead. Ask me anything you want.
I could ask you the same question.
Go ahead.
If you lived in upstate New York, who would be your football? Your sports team?
Ooh, this is a tough one because this becomes incredibly polarizing if I give an answer.
I know.
So I'm going to give an answer.
It's not like I asked you about Biden or Trump.
I'm a Republican. So no. So
most small business owners are.
Yeah.
We can't go political here, though.
Huh?
We shouldn't go political.
No. So Paul, hey guys, so if you guys are watching this, we're not going political. So all right. So my favorite New York sports team. Gosh, this is tough. So I would tell you that if I had to pick a New York football team, I would go for the Giants.
I would concur with that.
If I had to go for
the Jets are actually in New Jersey.
That's right. So if I had to go for
everybody forgets about the Bills.
Who?
There you go.
So if I had to go for a hockey team, as much as it pains me, like let's say the New York general area, I would have to go for the Rangers. The hard part is I'm a Lightning fan, and depending on when you guys are watching this, the Rangers just beat the Lightning the other day, and all of our friends in New York, our clients up in the markets up there, they're all Rangers fans. And
so I'd be a Dallas Stars fan.
You'd be a Dallas Stars fan?
Yeah, I used to live in Dallas. I used to go to the games.
I don't think they've ever won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
They have?
Yes, they have. That's the year that I became a fan. I'm a fair weather fan. So Amy actually drank out of the Stanley Cup.
Did she?
Yeah, they took it to after the thing. They went to a friend's house, and Pantera was there. And there's actually I was going to say video. This is a long time ago, so it's probably photographs of strippers.
Yeah.
Riding the Stanley Cup in the pool.
What year was that? You think?
Vinny of what's his name? One of the band members from Pantera that died. Dimebag was his nickname. 89 or 90.
Okay, so you guys want to hear a fun fact?
You weren't even alive back then.
I was alive. Here's the fun fact. I too drank out of the Stanley Cup when the Lightning won their championship here because my really close friend was actually the mascot. And we got one night with the Stanley Cup, and I drank out of the Stanley Cup. But now that I know that strippers are riding the Stanley Cup like 10, 15 years earlier, I might need to go to the doctor and get a checkup. I'm just gonna say, like, we might be in some trouble here. So thanks for sharing that.
That's what I'm here for.
So, but other than that, man, I just want to tell you, I appreciate you coming out. I know this has been a lot of fun. I know you're hanging out in Tampa with us for another day or so,
Yeah.
and then so I really appreciate it, man. So, any last words of wisdom for everybody?
Stay humble, my friends.
Y'all, thanks a lot, man. Paul, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.